If you constantly find yourself entering spaces and self-monitoring, asking yourself questions like, am I saying the right thing? Am I coming across well? Is my accent okay? Is how I'm dressed okay? Then you might be experiencing the adult symptom of a childhood wound, which is the trauma of correctability. It happens when you grow up different in a world or environment that treats difference as a thing to be corrected, essentially difference being bad. First of all, difference is not inherently a problem. Difference is always contextual. Maybe you were the only ethnic minority in your school. Maybe you were the only working class kid in an upper class neighborhood. Maybe you were the only creative in an academic family. Difference is always contextual because it is compared against whatever the norm is. And that can be in your macro system, the wider environment, or in your microsystem, like family and friends. But the way it's treated is incredibly important in whether that difference gets seen as something beneficial or neutral, or becomes internalized shame, shame of needing to be corrected in some way. If a family of academics praises a creative child for being different and achieving different things, that child grows up believing that their unique skill is a good thing. If a family of academics criticize and shames a creative child for not being academic enough, then creativity becomes a bad thing. Same child, same family, but different environmental influence. And because children are self-referential, they make things that happen in the world about themselves. It means something about them. So if difference was made to be bad, that becomes I am bad in some way. We do not have the context or the brain at the time to see the wider world and understand the nuances of it. And when you carry the childhood pressure to be corrected, it doesn't generally vanish just because you got qualifications, moved into bigger spaces, got the corporate job, whatever it is. It sits latent, often waiting to be reactivated until some type of event happens that feels similar. And it can also show up day to day, self-monitoring. Do I look right? Am I behaving right? Comparing yourself to the group or norm that you're in. Am I performing well enough? You're constantly evaluating yourself compared to other people in your immediate space and perhaps changing yourself as a result. And healing from the trauma of correctability isn't about switching this alarm off or never feeling this way again, but it's about recognizing that part of yourself that is a child that internalized that difference is bad. Difference is something to be ashamed of, whatever that difference was. And begin to relate to this part differently and with compassion so you can grow from it rather than become fused in it, where you're still operating from this feeling, even if you don't kind of consciously recognize it day to day. Sometimes the terms we also give this feeling is imposter syndrome, social anxiety, performance anxiety, essentially anything when belonging and acceptance feel very conditional based on the environments that you're in. So the next time you find yourself hyper-monitoring your own behavior in a room, ask yourself, am I actually doing something wrong, or am I just reacting to an old childhood script? And even that question can give you a moment of space to begin to think differently about yourself and your difference, which normally is a wonderful, unique trait that actually helps you think very differently from other people in the best way.